So first, I'm going to touch on why do you not want to offer and sell too many products? And this is applying in this instance to SMEs, not to an Amazon that can handle it. So this is to a normal traditional business, because that's what everything I do is kind of aimed at, is that kind of level. So why not to offer too many products? So there's multiple angles to this, and this is almost why it's quite interesting. There's been lots of studies over the years about actually how if you have a storefront, I think it was actually to do with Jam is the famous kind of case study, where basically it's when you can actually offer too much that your consumers get confused. And a classic example is that you always want to make your buying process as easy as possible. And something we've spoke previously about on the live stream is about having a hero product. So for Tesla, obviously they have the Model S. For Porsche, they have the 911. Apple have the iPhone. But the idea is that if you have a hero product, you almost have one product within the business that you lead with, and then all the rest kind of fall off that. But the kind of decision making in terms of what you offer in a way to bring people into the brand is relatively simple. Is actually, if you are like a Screwfix or someone that's a distributor that sells a ton of different stuff, it could be a B&Q, even it could be like a Tesco. They obviously have to promote on different things. So I'm focusing more on on simple kind of products. And the two examples I'm going to give are, I'm going to do like a food store, so somewhere that you would go for lunch when you're at work, and or a florist, because actually they both have similar challenges. So the first one is to do with actually when you present too much stock and actually why you do that. So I'm going to quickly draw this out. Two examples. So number one, you have a table. And you have three fabulous products, so that if someone comes up as a market stall and they want to see what you've got to offer, it's nice and simple. Option two is the same stall, but just tons. I mean, like 30, 40 different things. And the issue you've got, and you see this often at jumble sales and car boot sales, or even just a lot of market stalls, that if there's too many products on a table, or you walk into a store and there's just so much selection, you can almost be blinded by having too much choice. And there's loads of actually academic studies about what's the peak point on what you offer to give people choice, as opposed to giving people too much choice and they don't actually buy anything because they get confused. Because the easiest option for the buyer is to actually walk in and say, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to come back. And that's because you swamped them with too much stuff. So you always want to keep your message nice and simple. But in terms of the thing that I really wanted to talk about, which is inventory, yep, green. As any kind of small business, one of the things that you always really want to kind of keep an eye on is your cash. And actually just your ability to hold stock. And I was thinking about this morning for myself, for my next batch print run of the Roadmap kind of courses. But most businesses have, I'm going to switch back to blue. So I'm going to have revenue and sales and then product type. But you will have your best sellers, and then it will go down, and then you'll have loads at the end. So one of the issues that you have if you are, say, a sandwich shop, is that your probably core convenience in what you offer is convenience. So the ability for someone to come in, buy a sandwich, and then kind of leave. And that's obviously what you want to offer. But one of the issues is that if you are that kind of business, or for instance, you're a florist where actually you want people to come in, buy a wonderful bouquet of flowers for a loved one, for a birthday or a gift or whatever. The challenge always is that as a business owner, you want to offer people a great selection because you think that is what people want, and they'll come in. But actually what they often want is just great flowers that they can give someone as a kind of gift. But the issue is, if you have 10 different products or 50 different products or variations of products or types of flowers or whichever, the issue is you've got to actually hold stock for all of those on the off chance that someone comes in and they want to buy that product. But on two different levels, basically, when you have products which are down this end, what you've then got, you've got stock tied up and you've got cash tied up in stock that you probably won't sell. But the other side to it as well, it could go off, it could actually perish. And one of the things that people often miss is actually, if as your core business, you're actually much better on just focusing on your core key products, which actually in this instance, I'm going to switch pens. I'll go for red. No, I'll go orange. Is that you would be better off focusing on your core products that you get your core sales from. Hold less stock, because actually the less stock and things that you have to handle, you have less cash tied up, so that's cash that you can reinvest in other parts of the business. But actually, you need less storage to hold less stuff. As well, for that, you would need more storage. But this then plays into your overheads, it plays into everything about your kind of business. That actually often you combine these two. You offer someone a simpler product choice, so you'll actually convert, I think, more sales. So that's somewhere, or up to 6, so 0 to 6 kind of products. This is on anything where, there's almost like an impulse buy type thing. This wouldn't necessarily apply to all the different configurations of your product. What you're trying to do is just take someone along the journey to kind of get along this. So actually what you've got is a double win, that you'll actually convert more sales through having a more simplified product offering. And this can just be how you present the offer. You can still have the extra products, just don't swamp people with them up front. But actually hold less stock, it'll be more profitable, it's less likely to go off, and you'll run a much leaner, better business if you have the confidence to actually go this route. And actually the truth is, in the florist example, people actually just want wonderful flowers to give their guests or their family or their wife or their partner or whichever. Many of them actually won't necessarily care what they are, obviously, apart from some instances. So actually you can just steer them towards the stock that you have in, which again has multiple benefits as well. So it was just something I wanted to talk about, that most people, when they set up their business or they want to set up a food stall or whichever, they don't always think about stock and both, having cash tied up, the fact that these things can go off. The other thing as well is through staff training, is that if you were to educate your sales staff or even your florist or your chef or whichever to make all these different things, it's going to take a lot more time to train, but also you're not going to be as good. If you focus on a few key dishes, you'll be able to make them better than if you kind of try and do everything. Does that make sense? And it was just, especially for SMEs, kind of wanted to kind of talk this through. Good morning.